Oh, hello, great readers. I'm Belchan.
I'm Nimikung.
Banchan.
In this class, I'll read all of your part of Great Expectations.
As.
Great Expectations. Charles Dickens. Chap. 29 Sec 2. Estella smiled with perfect composure and said she had no doubt of my having been quite right and of her having been very disagreeable. Is he changed? Miss Evesham asked her. Very much, said Estella, looking at me. Best course in common, said Miss Evesham, playing with Estella's hair. Estella laughed and looked at the shoe in her hand and laughed again and looked at me and put the shoe down. She treated me as a boy still, but she lured me on upon me, and I learnt that she had but just come home from France and that she was going to London, proud and woeful as of old, and out of nature I thought so separate them from her beauty. The glowing fire struck it out of the iron on the anvil, the forge, and fled away. In a word, it was impossible for me to separate her, in the past or in the present, from the innermost life of my life. It was possible that I should stay there all the rest of the day and return to the hotel at night and to London tomorrow. We had conversed for a while. Miss Evesham sent us two out to walk in the neglected garden, on our coming in by and by. She said I should will her about a little, as in times of yore. So, straight to my encounter with the pale young gentleman, now Herbert. I, trembling in spirit and worshipping the very hem of her dress. Jim, quite composed and most decidedly not worshipping the hem of mine. As we drew near to the place of encounter, she stopped and said, Dale. But I did. She replied, in an incidental and forgetful way. I remember I entertained a great objection to your adversary. Are you? I think I recollect, though. I made the admission with reluctance, for it seemed to have a boyish look, and she already treated me more than enough like a boy. Since your change of fortune and prospects, you have changed your companions, said Estella. Actually, said I, and necessarily, she added, in a haughty tone. What was fit company for you once? In my conscience, Joe. But if I had. This observation put it to flight. You had no idea of your impending good fortune. In those times, said Estella, with a slight wave of her hand, signifying in the fighting times. There of completeness and superiority with which she walked at my side, and there of youthfulness and submission with which I walked at hers, made a contrast that I strongly felt. It would have rankled in me more than it did. Her end assigned to her. The garden was too overgrown and rank for walking in with ease, and after we had made the round of it twice or thrice, we came out again into the brewery yard. I showed her to a nicety where I had seen her walking on the casks, that first old day. And she said, with a cold and careless look in that direction, "Me, my mate and drink." And she said, "I don't not remember that you made me cry," said I. "No," said she, and shook her head and looked about her. I verily believe that her not remembering and not minding in the least made me cry again. In religion, that is the sharpest crying of all. "You must know," said Estella, condescending to me as a brilliant and beautiful woman might, that I knew better, that there could be no such beauty without it. Well, I have a heart to be stabbed and or shot in." "I have no doubt," said Estella. "And of course if it ceased to beat, I should cease to be. But you know what I mean. I have no softness there." Looked attentively at me. Anything that I had seen in Miss Evesham. Well, have done which may often be noticed to have been acquired by children, from grown person with whom they have been much associated and secluded, and which, when childhood is past, will produce a remarkable occasional likeness of expression between faces that are otherwise quite different. And yet I could not trace this to Miss Evesham. I looked again, and though she was still looking at me, the suggestion was gone. What was it? "I am serious," said Estella, of her face. "If we are to be thrown much together, you had better believe it at once." "Oh," imperiously stopping me as I opened my lips. "I have not bestowed my tenderness anywhere." In another moment we were in the brewery. So long just that same first day, and told me she remembered to have been up there, and to have seen me standing scared below, as my eyes followed her white hand. Again the same dim suggestion that I could not possibly grasp crossed me. My involuntary start occasioned her to lay her hand upon my arm. Instantly the gust passed once and was gone. What was it? "What is the matter?" asked Estella. "I should be. If I believe what you said just now," I replied. "To turn it off." "Then you don't?" "Very well. It is set. At any rate, Miss Evesham will soon be expecting you at your old post, though I think that might be laid aside now, with other old belongings. Let us make one more round of the garden, and then go in. Come. You shall not shed tears for my cruelty today. You shall be my page." Her handsome dress had trailed upon the ground. She held it in one hand now, and with the other lightly touched my shoulder as we walked. We walked round the ruined garden twice or thrice more, and it was all in bloom for me. Had been the most precious flowers that ever blew. It could not have been more cherished in my remembrance. There was no discrepancy of years between us to remove her far from me. We were of nearly the same age, though of course age told for more in her case than in mine. But they are of an accessibility which her beauty and her manner gave her, tormented me in the midst of my delight. For one another. Wretched boy. At last we went back into the house, and there I heard, with surprise, that my guardian had come down to see Miss Evesham on business, and would come back to dinner. Had been lighted while we were out, and Miss Evesham was in her chair and waiting for me. It was like pushing the chair itself back into the past. When we begin the old slow circuit round about the ashes of the bridal feast. But in the funeral room, it still looked more bright and beautiful than before, and I was under stronger enchantment. The time melted away. That early dinner drew close at end, and Estelle left us to prepare herself. We had stopped near the centre of the long table, and Miss Havisham, with one of her withered arms stretched out of the chair, rested that clenched hand upon the yellow cloth. As Estelle looked back over her shoulder before going out at the door, Miss Havisham kissed that hand to her. A ravenous intensity that was of its kind quite dreadful. And Estelle being gone and we two left alone, she turned to me and said in a whisper, "Is she beautiful? Graceful? Well-grown? Everybody wants to see her." She drew an arm round my neck and drew my head close down to hers as she sat in the chair. "Love her. Love her. I'll tell her," she repeated. "Love her. Love her. I'll tell her. If she favours you, love her. If she wins you, love her. Too deep love her. Love her." Words. To be continued.